Hey guys, Rich from Rich Mid Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Bugle, where we round up this week's and whatever we missed from last week's MCP news, rumours, gossip, and everything else. Joined once again by the one, the only MCP influencer in the world, I believe, Quinn Duggan. Lovely little bow there. Quinn, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I may or may not have spent 2 hours making a fucking graphic.
We've before we jump into the main video, just a little teaser for everyone out there. Me and Quinn have got a new little project that we are working on, and I've got to say, Quinn, it's probably the most excited I've been about creating new content for MCP.
It's been a nice little collaboration, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been really, really good. So hopefully next week you should start to see those coming out. If not next week, absolutely the week afterwards. But it's going to be designed. They'll happen at some point. Yeah, they're designed for both new and existing players of the game. We're going to be looking at every single affiliation in the game. They're kind of going to replace the how to plays, but there's going to be a lot more around it. And it's not just going to be a single one and done video. There'll be other supporting things, both visual, but also tangible assets that you can take and print and download for yourself and use for yourself as well. So really, really excited about it. So watch this space for more info.
It's like the MCU of MCP. They're all interconnected.
You've got to watch the first one for the 17th to make sense. Yeah, there we go. On to MCP news for the week. And it's been another busy week. Now, it seems to be this new year has brought a new format. It's Monday, tell us all about a character we've known about for months. Okay, that's like so we got the panel to play for Honey Badger. Nothing's changed, right? It's exactly the same as she was previously. And then on the Tuesday, they drop us a little teaser. And then on the Wednesday, we get the character packs. And on the Wednesday evening, on the Tuesday, we get the character packs and what's in there, and on the Tuesday evening we then get a live stream painting one of those characters, and then Schick just answers all of the other questions that we've got basically, or ones that he can answer. So Quinn, I want to start off and I want to go into the character pack first, or the brand new character pack that we have got, which is CP79. So let's just address that, Quinn. Honey Badger was the last one at 71. We've jumped forward a fair bunch. Now, I believe the reason for that is this pack and the other pack have similar mechanics. And we've spoke about that before, haven't we? How when new mechanics are brought into the game, you tend to get sort of opposing packs. Now, Shield and Criminal Syndicate, as we'll get onto, are not necessarily opposing, but you know, one be good, one be bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of works.
It does seem that like when CPs are sort of divvied out, like it tends to be right. We're making this character now, and then it doesn't necessarily have like an effect on when the pack is released, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
It's done when it's done, and typically it will be packaged with something else that might have been decided on being made later down the line that actually is like similar mechanically.
So CP79, the official name is Shadowlands Daredevil and Elektra. Now, I don't know if you remember the Electric Ninjas that we had in the leaked post, and I think I said
bad guys in that Spider-Man game.
Yeah, I think I said at the time, I believe that is because it was a German website. I believe that was a bad translation. Basically, they just got it wrong. So let's run through what is in the pack itself. We've got Shadowland Daredevil miniature, Elektra miniature, Hand Ninjas miniature, 3 bases. Again, there'll be more. 3 character stats cards, only 5 team tactics cards this time, and once again 8 tokens.
I got very confused when you said only 5, and then I remembered Fury comes with 10.
Fury comes with like all of them.
That's a lot for a pack, isn't it? Normally they come with 3. No, Fury's up the bar.
So I want to start, Quinn, with the miniatures themselves, because once again, I think they have knocked it out of the park. Like, Daredevil is just really
that's
good.
Far more iconic Daredevil pose to me than Ballerina Daredevil.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
That's the man without fear right there.
Was the possessed man without fear on this one. So yeah, super fan of that. Really, really like it. Elektra, like, it feels like we're going to need to put drill her arm out and put in some reinforcement, because that's a thin point of contact on that one. But again, they've knocked it out of the park with the pose and everything else. Yeah,
I like the shuriken embedded in like the little thing she's vaulting over. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then lastly, we've got the 3 hand ninjas that are kind of sort of, we had them last time, didn't we? And the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the grunts that they are, were sort of dropping from the helicarrier. These guys are like, I see them as like appearing from the shadows. That's kind of...
I feel like they're bursting out of like a smoke bomb.
Yeah, I do. Because I was worried at first when I saw the silhouette that it was going to be another rope. And I was like, oh no, please don't say that the rope is the new tactical rock.
The tactical rope bridge.
But yeah, so really cool, really, really nice miniatures. So Quinn, let's jump into then a little bit more about what we know that this pack brings, because although a lot of people were thinking that we were going to get a brand new affiliation with this pack, i.e. the hand, but that's not the case. Instead, what we've got is a second leader for the criminal syndicate. So that's Shadowlands Daredevil. And we know a little bit about what he is bringing to the game, because once again, we had a live stream last night with some additional information on. So the first thing, as I just mentioned, is he is going to be the second leader for Criminal Syndicate. His leadership ability is going to be the inverse or reverse, however you want to word it, of Miles's leadership ability. Now, just to remind everyone, Miles can re-roll 1 dice when defending, but if he's holding or contesting an objective token, that dice can also be a failure. Now, there's a couple...
Not that die, it just allows you to straight up re-roll, modify failures.
To modify failures, yeah.
If this is exactly the same thing, but like, it's attack dice instead of defense dice, that's pretty fucking good.
I think what it could be, because there's a couple of ways of viewing this, isn't there? Yeah. I think it's going to be offensive. That's the first thing. So I think the reverse is you get to reroll 1 attack dice. However, I think what could be a kind of, what's the word? A sort of kicker on it is that, yes, you get to modify your failures, but it's when you're attacking somebody that's contesting an objective or is holding a token. I think that'll be the... Because these feel like a very offensive list, don't they?
I'm very much with you on that one. I think that's going to be like the minor tweak to it, right? Is going to be, it's based on where your opponent's standing rather than where you're standing, which makes sense from the viewpoint of an aggressive, like, objective-based leadership, right?
Yeah, and because that's something that you don't always have control over, isn't it?
Also, if this is what this leadership does, man, Cable's real sad anyway.
Cable is really, really sad. A couple of other things then that we do know about that have been confirmed is, first and foremost, is that grunts are going to be able to have more than 1 parent. Not always, but they're going to be able to have more than 1 parent. And the way that we know that is both Daredevil and Elektra are parents to the grunts, so they can be used with either of those characters. So interesting, because it opens the door then for a second leader for S.H.I.E.L.D., for example, maybe a Maria Hill or a Quake or somebody like that, and they get to use the grunts as well, which would be quite nice. Anytime we could...
I've had a thought.
Oh dear Lord.
I know it's rare. And they're usually terrible. But like, what if like a second leader for Shield is like Iron Patriot Norman Osborn?
Crazy, absolutely crazy. I don't think they're going to go down that route. At least, I don't think they will. I've just got my little list here, Quinn. So I'm just going to pull off a couple of other ones. So the thing that we had absolutely 100% confirmed is grunts have no threat. What you're going to see on their character card is threat NA. So the cost of the grunt is included in the parent, which takes us back to that conversation then, Quinn, in that you can only ever have one grunt on the table at the time. So if you take a character that has grunts and you can't deploy those grunts because you've already deployed somebody else, it's a bit like that whole playing a leader outside of affiliation and not getting the leadership ability, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how much that impacts like how good these parent characters are, right? Like how vital to their kit is like their grunt, right? Because like there are plenty of leaders in the game that can thrive under other leadership.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So
it's a question of whether there are going to be situations where Nick Fury will actually work better in a team where you bring Shadowlands Daredevil with ninjas or Elektra with ninjas or whatever.
Yeah. Couple of other things. So grunts don't take up a roster spot, as you'd imagine, Quinn. That was kind of more of a clarification of something that we would already sort of assume with what we knew. A random one is that the hand ninjas must be summoned by Daredevil on his basic attack. On Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury may deploy them.
Well, because it's an active superpower from Fury, apparently.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
Or at least he had that might be the way he gets them back after they're gone. Once again, we don't really know how this whole summoning and deployment thing works.
Yes,
but apparently he does have an active superpower that basically calls them in.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think so. And just on that as well, I think we've had some confirmation as well, having that Fury is going to be a 4 threat. It feels like Daredevil should probably be a 4 threat as well. But it is Shadowland, so I was sort of thinking as well. So potentially 5 threat if he.
I mean, they can't have him be better than original Daredevil, which is pretty easy, and have him be the same threat.
It's not very hard, is it? Just a couple of other sort of housekeeping ones as well. So grunts can be thrown, attacked, etc. So again, we'd sort of assume that was the case, but we've had that confirmation. I want to go on to one, Quinn, that's really interesting, and it is grunts are classed as characters. Now, character is a key word in this game, Quinn, isn't it? And there's a lot of superpowers, a lot of leadership abilities that use the word allied character, dazed character. And then just sort of follow on from that. So what that means is that right now as it stands, things like Thanos' Black Order, eliminating one of the grunts is going to generate victory points. For Sam, if one of the grunts is dazed or KO'd, they get the movement. For Kingpin, right now, grunts would class as 2 healthy characters, contesting a point. However,
funny that you mentioned Kingpin.
It is funny I mentioned Kingpin. Now, they use Kingpin as the example. There are some changes to characters that have not yet been implemented. Once the full rules for the grunts and everything else are released, those cards will be updated. And we did have confirmation as well that all these extra changes will be in the card pack that will be going on sale as well. They said sort of second half of this year, but they're going to bring in the terminology non-grunt. And that makes sense, right? You can't have a grunt in CS classing, under Kingpin's leadership as being 2.
They stopped injured Deadpool counting as 2, right? They're not going to let grunts count.
Yeah. They did, however, say that Thanos and Sam, I picked those two examples out, they alluded to the fact that they wouldn't be changed. So Grunts into Black Order, fill your boots, Corvus, because he's going to be clear. But we don't know, right? They may have so much tech that they can just get around things. So Quinn, why do I think that Kingpin's important? Well, we've been banging on for a long time now about how other characters in this game need some changes, and the fact that they're already going to make more changes to more existing characters,
it's almost like, all that stuff they said about, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, we're never changing anything ever
opens up the door. Opens up the door. Lastly then, and again, it's something I would have assumed, but it's always nice to know, there's going to be no range restriction between the parent and the grunt itself.
Yeah, they don't have one of those, like, toddler leagues.
Yeah, so they're independent, they move around, but they will activate at the same time. I believe actually activate before, so during the same activation, so they'll go first, and then the parent character will go afterwards. They lay the
groundwork.
Yeah. So Quinn, now we've got that little bit more information to hand, some of the other things may make a little bit more sense, i.e. the tactics cards, and we're going to play in a little moment your favourite game, Quinn, which is what the hell does a tactic card do? But
what do it
do? But before we do, I was reading through the description, and I think we covered this off with the honey badger and things in the past, where the things they allude to in the box description kind of tells you a little bit about it. And there's one thing that I picked out that really made me think about Elektra in particular and the grunts that she can bring. So I'm just going to
anyone who can afford a matchless skill.
I just want to read this out. So this is a direct from their website. So this is talking about Elektra, by the way. While she sometimes joins forces with Daredevil and other heroes, she is ultimately a lone warrior who follows her own path among the shadows. So it's going to be really interesting. Is she going to be the third rogue agent? And if she is, will there be a kicker that allows her to either to or not to take the grunts with her if she's a rogue agent? I don't know. I read that and I was just like, ooh, that's quite interesting.
Like the whole willing to work with anyone who can afford her match skills, like screams rogue agent as well. Like
100%, yeah.
But like, it depends. Like the entire thing depends on what these ninjas do, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like,
but we've had confirmation that there was actually some further confirmation about grunts that we didn't actually get to, which is that they cannot play or be targeted by allied tactics cards.
Okay. Right. Yes. Yep.
So that's a rather important thing. It's funny that it says allied because that means you can bitter rivals the grunts.
Yeah.
Assumedly,
which sounds quite nice.
Well, we don't know how grunts work.
Well, also remember the retcons of the keyword of non-grunt character coming in as well.
Another good point. Yeah.
So a few of these we may not be able to do.
Yeah. So there's that. But like, we also know that like the grunts, from what we've heard, typically have a thing they specialize in, right?
Yeah.
So for the shield agents, it's like working with extract, apparently.
Yeah, it's all around that extraction play, isn't it?
Don't quote me, please, for the love of God, do not quote me.
No, I think that was what it was. You know, the shield agents were all around the extract play. These guys are, we love our three pillars, Quinn. They're gonna murder, right?
They have to. Like, come on. One of them's got like a big fucking stick.
Fucking ninjas, So yeah, really interesting, guys. We always like to take a look at the related items, but I mean, it's Kingpin, Bullseye, Sin, and Taskmaster. Like,
I wonder what that could be telling us.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. They've already told us, but it does.
Taskmaster's in there. That means Elektra's a rogue agent.
It does sort of reiterate the point though that it is important. Those related items, there's a reason that they are. There's a reason that they are in there. Quinn, are you ready to play your favourite game? So once again, cards included in the set. So as we mentioned, there's no affiliation card, right? So we knew that anyway. Once again,
maybe for once there will be some fucking syndicate affiliation tokens.
Well, yeah. The other thing, Quinn, is no crisis again. Another expensive character pack without a crisis in it, because
they're being sparse with these prices.
this is a $55 pack, people. This is not, this is not a cheap pack. But let's go through these anyway. So, Quinn, first tactics cards, Shuriken Arashi. You have got an interesting little tidbit on this one, haven't you?
I do, yes. As a scholar of the Japanese language, that I definitely am. I'm really glad you can't see that I've got Google Translate open. And Arashi are actually a Japanese boy band. So that's clearly the crossover into MCP.
Yep.
That they've been working on for a long time. We'll completely ignore the fact that Arashi is also apparently Japanese Storm. So this is Shuriken Storm, which is probably some sort of rapid fire attack that does bleed, I'm guessing.
I mean, it would feel like that, wouldn't it? Maybe maybe because the idea with the shurikens is they're the ninja throwing stars. You can get to you throw them really fast, they cause damage. Could be multiple characters, maybe a deadly duo-esque type thing where you get to target multiple. I think you're right on the back end with the bleed, although as we know in the you can be shot at point blank range and still not bleed in this game, or indeed be a man in a suit and still bleed. So bleed is a loose concept in Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Kill it, which means that Luke Cage is immortal, apparently, based on that saying.
So next one then, Quinn, is Vendetta. Now we all know what a vendetta is.
Well, yeah. I feel like this is going to be something akin to Blind Obsession. That's what evoked immediately in my mind.
Yeah, I was thinking more of something that was more of a reactive card. You attack me, I then attack you, or...
What if it's sort of like Drax is driven by vengeance on a stick?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
You put a token on someone, and then the next time you attack them, you get like extra dice or something.
Yeah, but the trigger is... One of their team is going to have... Oh, what about if it is when an enemy character dazes or KOs one of your allies, you can then use this card, like almost a bit like is it Punisher and Winter Soldier have got that reactive one when
Punisher gets tokens for it. Bucky has got your back. There's also Seeing Red, the tactics card.
Yes, yeah. That lets you do an attack immediately, doesn't it? After
it's like a reactionary attack.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be reactive. Does this?
Yeah, it feels reactive. It's sort of like you declare a vendetta after you suffer some sort of grievance, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe it ends up being that you put a vendetta token on someone, and then like maybe someone gets like an action refunded the next time they attack them or something. Like that would be very strong.
Oh, that'd be really strong. But yeah, no, I like it though. I like it. Bounty Hunters. The first thing that came to my mind with this is it's a version of some sort of Usurp the Throne.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You name a character, whether it's the highest threat, the lowest, whatever it is, but you name a character, a named man, as some would say, and then you score VPs for taking them out.
Like the pirate thing is like the black spot, right?
The black spot, yes, the little black spot. That feels like that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether this is like a syndicate card or whether it's a generic one, right?
Interesting because the terminology is bounty hunters. Yeah. It's plural. If this was a Daredevil only card,
you can claim the bounty, right?
Yeah. So interesting on that one.
I feel like that, like. Shuriken Arashi has to be affiliated to he's probably like a Daredevil or an Elektra or a Ninja card, right?
Yeah, I would think
I feel like
so.
it's going to be associated with those characters. It's not going to be like a generic thing. Um, Vendetta, I could see going either way. Like in some ways, vendettas are very much like a mob type thing, but also like anyone can declare a vendetta, right? And then we've got bounty hunters. Like once again, this could be syndicate. This could be like unaffiliated. If this is syndicate, I could see this being like maybe two VPs, just sort of like use up the throne, or
Yeah,
maybe it ends up being. It might, because it can probably be claimed by anyone because of plural hunters. It might just be one VP.
well, or is it just that any character or any it could be Daredevil or Elektra, right?
Mm.
Daredevil or Elektra can use this card, but it's independent, and then whichever one you pay the power on is the one that gets to do it. It's not a combination of them both. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Look, as long as it's better than dirty work, I'll be happy.
It can't be any worse. Cruel tutelage. Now, as soon as I read this one, I was thinking about Daredevil's mentor,
Stick.
Stick,
I immediately thought of Stick as well.
but then this is Shadowland
Yeah.
Daredevil, obviously possessed, but that same Daredevil still had that same tutelage.
Yeah, it's still Matt Murdock who was still taught by Stick, right?
Yeah. So it'd be interesting, and we also know as well, Quinn, that the all of these any Daredevil specific tactics cards are not going to be usable by the original Daredevil. So there's going to be some, Shadowland Daredevil will be the word that they use rather than a Matt Murdock, I think, on these.
It's a shame because, I mean, the ballerina of Hell's Kitchen could use all the help he could get, right?
He really could. Yeah, he really could. So, Quinn, lastly then is No Mercy. And we've got something called No Mercy already, haven't we? I had to check because I thought it was a tactics card, but yeah, Sabretooth. Dice boost. But is it the one where it's dice boost based on
it's dice
damage?
Boost based on how much damage someone's already taken. It's like a finisher type effect, right?
Yeah.
Which,
which I think is also another name that Sabretooth has for one of his abilities.
He does. That's a trigger on his space.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got the same wordage on it. Add dice equal to
on a card. Like, I don't hate it. I wouldn't mind if I had like maybe a higher ceiling. So like, if there were, if someone's taken more damage, you get more dice rather than the cap of 3 that Sabretooth has.
Yeah, maybe 5 would be quite nice because it's based on damage. Because I think Sabretooth is spend between 1 and 3, isn't it?
It's not got a vary cost. It's got a flat cost, but you get dice based on like whether they have 1, 2, or 3 damage on them.
Okay, so maybe something like, spend X, where X is equal to the number of damage they've taken to a maximum of 5. Could be quite nice because then, it becomes really good against the bigger characters, right? If you can roll an extra 5 dice against a Dormammu, a Hulk, a She-Hulk, so on and so forth. But then if you've got a Bullseye who you want to take out, who's got 1 health left, you go, do you really want to spend 3 power, or would 1 be enough, or would 2 be enough? And it gives you a bit more of a...
Just show Benjamin Poindexter some mercy. His parents didn't when they named him.
This is true. So really interesting. Again, I think overall thoughts, Quinn, on this pack are... I really like it. I know we spoke before. We spoke about minions and your hatred of them in terms of how other games have implemented them. But I think with all the information we've got now, they've added in a really, really nice new game mechanic.
I think the fact that they're tied to proper characters is
the key part.
Very much the right way to implement in this game. I might be completely wrong. They might completely break the game. Who knows? We don't until the thing comes out.
Yeah, and you know what? If something is that game broken, will only have to deal with it for 6 months, and they will, they'll change it because that's what they've done. That's what they've done in the past.
Well, what they'll do is they'll say they're not changing it, and then they'll change it.
And they'll change it. Yeah. Final thoughts, Quinn, on Daredevil, and I suppose then Grunts in general.
I feel like dear old Jun Matsumoto is probably my favorite member of that pack. I don't know about you. I mean, like Mazakai Iba, pretty cool as well. But it's just one of those.
I would have to go in now and look, and then put their names on.
Wait,
on top
you
of
also
them.
have to figure out which one is which and put their faces over the ninjas now.
I refuse to do it. He says on Photoshop, actually doing it.
Yeah. I mean, what Photoshop? You mean MS Paint?
Microsoft Paint, yeah.
I mean, no one's going to believe that that's true, but it is.
Every graphic I make for the channel is on Microsoft Paint. Yes, yeah. It's just easy to use, and it's free. I'm Yorkshire. It's free. That's the kicker.
You're the entirety of Yorkshire.
Yeah. Quinn, on to the next part of the show. Once again, I gave you free rein last week to pick a nice, simple, easy topic for our weekly painting competition. Do you even paint there?
Exactly that.
So what did you pick, Quinn?
Hawkeye.
More specific.
Hawkeye, the TV show.
And
well, that's it. Anyone
Rogers the musical.
That is part of the Hawkeye TV show. Thank you very much.
So anyone that appeared in Hawkeye, the TV show, we said it once, we're going to say it again. Spoiler warning, because there are some characters in here that we're going to talk about. You haven't seen it. You probably already know about it anyway. But so anyone that appeared in the Hawkeye TV show, in both their proper form or indeed a character portraying them in. Rogers the musical, wasn't it? Yeah. So once again, Quinn,
tell out a little bit if I can do this all day for us.
I can do this all day.
I've seen those karaoke videos. I know you can handle it.
So as always, Quinn, 2 honourable mentions and then the winner. First submission then is from Jonah, and it's his Hawkeye, very classic Hawkeye, Quinn, isn't it? With the purple and sort of dark blue black suit. What have you got to say about his hair, Quinn?
Well, 1, he looks like Vanilla Ice, but 2, we would have made him win if he'd had frosted tips instead of just being like complete single colour.
This is true. It's a really, really nice paint job. I particularly like, just the highlights on his shades look just really, really nice. I do like the weathered rusting effect on the sort of Hydra plate as well.
I do also like the metal composite bow.
Yeah, quite a fan of it. But yeah, overall, really, really good paint job, Jonah. So you get an honourable mention. Quinn, second honourable mention, and it goes to the man, or the big man, Uncle Wilson Fisk himself, Kingpin, and this is a great submission from Jans. And overall, Quinn, it's just a really clean paint job, isn't it?
It's very crisp.
Yeah, like potentially more contrast could have been added in there, so darker recesses with shadows and higher highlights.
Higher highlights, lower low lights.
Lower low lights. That's a term that people use. The one thing I would say that I think would look really good on this is a bit of stubble. A lot of people have done him with that sort of 5 o'clock shadow that you see a lot in the comics and things, and I think that would look really, really good on this. But it's a super, super paint job, so well done. And then the winner for this week is a submission from Phil over at Imps Gaming, and it's his submission for Hawkeye. I really like this one, Quinn. We just spoke about contrast, didn't we, on the Kingpin one. This is super high contrast. Very almost like modern day comic book cell shaded, almost like style, with a little bit of blending, but where it's sort of not what's the word I'm looking for? Not a smooth transition
it's got
between the
bold
highlights.
lines of color, right?
Yeah, really, really like it. I like what they've done with the gold Hydra thing. I know you're a fan of keeping them red, aren't you? But I quite like that. I think it's kind of a similar color scheme to what Jonah went with, but he's just highlighted it up far more in that comic book style and using the blue to highlight it.
Style, right? Because you've got like a higher degree of saturation with Phil's one, whereas you've got sort of more blends and transitions with what Jonah's done.
Yeah, exactly that. So, Phil, you are our winner of the week, and everyone who submitted will get entered into the prize draw to win the Rivals pack. But, Phil, you will go up on our Wall of Fame. And, Quinn, you got to pick last week's, so that means I get to pick this week's.
Yeah, so time for the boring week, everyone, because we all know I have the most fun.
That's not very nice, is it? So, Quinn, it's my choice this week, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of a curveball because I've seen some amazing conversions and paint jobs of these online. But this week, it's not going to be a character. Deadpool's taco truck. Oh. I want to see your Deadpool's taco trucks and whatever weird and wonderful things you've decided to do with them. I picked that one because it's a piece of scenery that I think most people will have, because I think most people playing the game of
scenery that people are more likely to have because it comes to the character, right?
Sanctum and NYC building and that sort of thing.
Like, I mean, you're probably going to pick like the cars or the Daily Bugle kiosks for like most prevalent, but like this is like.
But they're boring. This is Deadpool's taco truck. So yeah, I want to see what you've done with Deadpool's taco truck. So that will be the paint competition for this week. And there we go, Quinn. That is the end of another episode of the Weekly Bugle. Anything else to add?
Go listen to Arashi. They're really good.
Are you now into Japanese K-pop?
Yeah, I'm a big J-pop stan. I'm on Stan Twitter now. Satoshi's my favorite one. Cool.
He says this. He's followed them all on social medias and everything else.
No, actually, Jun Matsumoto. He's my favorite. He's the leader.
Overall, Quinn, super happy with what we've had so far in 2022. It seemed like we had loads in 2021, and it just hasn't slowed down, has it? They are coming thick and fast.
When you look back, we had a lot in 2021, but then like towards the end of it, there was very much sort of a snail's pace that ended up having. But like we're picking up speed again, and I'm all for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of 2021 towards the end was the retcons of cards, wasn't it? The changes of cards. And then like after that, it was sort of just desolate ghost town of information. Yeah. So guys, as always, make sure you check out the Discord server. There's over, I think, like 300 people on there now. Everything from roster discussion. It's where you'll hear first about all of the events that we're doing, like the draft event that we're running at the moment. It's where you can submit all of your painting competition entries, and just a really great place, filled with other players, the players of MCP. Check out the Patreon page. There'll be a link down in the description below. Also, we've got our merch store live now as well. And there'll be links down to all of the various things that we've discussed in this video. But as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now. See ya.